Okay, so welcome to the class Centering in Chaos. This was a talk that I gave actually back in 2017 to a room full of people that are more in the spiritual community. But what's important is this concept of chaos and how we suddenly find ourselves in it, and then what to do about that when we find ourselves in it. We're going to have a proper look at the concept of chaos, because when we're in it, it just feels like our head is spinning. And if we unpick that a little bit, then I can give you some more details on chaos. Feels like it's just one thing locked in. But if I unpick it for you, then we can make sense of it in more bite-sized pieces. So we'll start off doing that. Then I'm going to give you strategies, because I think that chaos is something that needs to be managed on many levels. And so I'm going to give you an immediate strategy, and then I'm going to give you some other strategies on top of that. So the first thing that we do, first port of call, and then secondly what we do then. But then going forward, also how to manage us when we're in this place called chaos. What is that about? How come we got there? And what do we do if we go there again? But is there actually a purpose to the chaos? And so why do we go into it? So I think that's really useful things for us to have a really good look at. So first of all, what is chaos? Well, let's look on the outside first of all. So we can be going along in our little life, and then something happens on the outside. So there'll be a change happens. So news comes in, we're presented with a difficult situation, or we might be presented with news that we hadn't anticipated, we didn't see coming. Now often chaos comes out of the left field. And so it's, an email drops, a letter drops on the mat, the telephone rings, and all of a sudden things start to move. And of course, when they move on the outside, our natural reaction is to grip and to not let that thing move. So we actually unconsciously begin to feed into the chaos ourselves, because we don't feel that we want to sort of go with the flow of this. We want to stop the change that has just happened in our life. Often it's because we have lost something. And there the door opens and the chaos begins. What also can happen is that we're surrounded by other people whose energy systems are not great. So it might be even in the spiritual community. Don't forget, people go into spirituality often to heal, and they are not healed when they go in. It's a process of healing. Life is obviously a process, but we take responsibility for our past and our traumas, or we don't. But when we're sitting with other people in spiritual circles, for example, they can spin up energies that put us into chaos, because we've already got our own thing that we're trying to work through. Now, if I take this out of the spiritual realm, let's just say in the office or somewhere like that, if you are with people that are on high projection, that are continually bombarding you with their thoughts, beliefs, opinions, demands, then this can spin us into chaos, because we're trying to keep up with that, but actually we can't. And so we start to spin, our head gets muzzy, and we start to go under. What happens next is, unfairly perhaps, is that the minute we slip into chaos, then something else comes in the mix. And before we've had a moment to even take a breath on that, I've noticed that sometimes a third thing comes into the mix, and it seems to come in very fast, and it seems to be this pattern of 3. Now, sometimes if people have a pattern of 3, especially if the pattern of 3 are immense losses, then they can go under very quickly. And of course, the first thing that we lose, if our mind is spinning, we lose the capacity of language. And so somebody might say, well, what's wrong with you? And you can't explain it, because you've actually lost that connection with your train of thought It's not in a straight line anymore. Everything's spinning everywhere, and it's just a cloud of chaos. So actually this is a predictable psychological, emotional position to find ourselves in. Of course, it's unfamiliar and it can be frightening. And then on top of which, we have to try and get on with our life. People still want things from us. We've still got to attend to things in our life. But how can we do that when the rug has just been pulled out from the bottom of our world? So the second thing about chaos is the emotional chaos that it then puts us in. I'm going to leave space for Q&A, but I'll just end on this quote. The moment I saw it, it's been one of my favourite. It's my kind of North Star, and it's from Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher. And he said, one must have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. It resonates with me, because I am a creative, more artistic person, and a lot of that artistic expression looks crazy to other people. But this is permission, you see. This is Nietzsche saying, but we need it. How are we going to change anything? How are we going to express ourselves? How are we going to progress and grow individually and as a collective? If we don't have the chaos come in, we cannot bring in the dancing stars. And then what is life, without the magic, without the excitement, without the possibilities and potentials? If we are locked into this humdrum, then let's hope for more chaos, and let's hope for more dancing stars.